I couldn't believe my own sister looked down on me, laughed at my life, and tried to ruin me. But I bought a house, and suddenly she had to face the truth. Family, jealousy, and karma hit harder than you'd ever expect. You won't believe what happened when I told my sister I bought a new house. She laughed in my face like I had just told her I planned to live in a cardboard box forever. I never expected family could be this cruel. My name is Mark, and my sister Laura has always thought she was better than me. She's a few years older, always bragging about her career, her kids, and her perfect life. Growing up, she loved to remind me that I was just struggling while she was making it. I wasn't poor, but I didn't live in luxury either. I rented a small apartment, worked long hours, and saved every penny. I kept to myself most of the time because I didn't want her constant judgments, and honestly, I hated how she always made me feel small. A few months ago, I found the perfect house. It wasn't just a house, it was my dream. A big yard, a cozy fireplace, enough space for the life I wanted to build. I worked so hard to save for it, and finally, I had enough. I thought maybe, just maybe, when I told Laura, she would be proud or at least happy for me. I was so wrong. I called her one Saturday morning, trying to sound casual. "Hey, I've got some news," I said, excited. "Oh, what now?" she replied, already skeptical. "I bought a house," I told her, trying not to grin too much. There was a pause. Then came the laughter, mocking, loud, cruel. "Mark, don't tell me you actually bought a house," she said. "Are you serious?" I could feel my face burning. "Yes, I'm serious. It's mine," I said, my voice shaking, partly with anger and partly with disbelief that she could be so heartless. She kept laughing. "Wow, I guess miracles do happen," she said sarcastically. I tried to stay calm, but I felt this strange mix of hurt and determination. I realized then that Laura didn't see me as her brother. She saw me as a failure she had the right to mock. Over the next few weeks, she didn't just ignore my achievement. She tried to sabotage it. She called other family members, hinting that I couldn't afford the house, that I had hidden debts, that I was making a mistake. At first, I felt defeated. I wanted to explain, to prove myself, but I realized words wouldn't matter. Actions would. I started working even harder on the house, fixing things, making it beautiful, inviting my friends over, and sharing photos online. Slowly, people began to see what I had achieved, and Laura's laughter began to sound empty, forced. I even started receiving messages from family members saying how impressed they were, how proud they were of me. She tried to undermine me, but in the end, it only highlighted my success. One day, she showed up unannounced, expecting me to feel embarrassed or intimidated. She walked through the house, commenting sarcastically on every detail. "Oh, look at this kitchen. I guess it's fine for a starter home," she said, smirking. I looked at her calmly and said, "It's my home, Laura. I work for it. I'm proud of it. You're welcome to visit any time, but I won't let your opinions diminish what I've built." For the first time, I saw her pause. She tried to argue, but I didn't give her any room. I realized then that nothing she said could take away my accomplishment. She left that day with her smile gone, replaced by something like shock. The moral of the story? Sometimes, people you expect to cheer for you are the first to doubt you. But hard work, patience, and quiet determination speak louder than insults or ridicule. And yes, it feels incredible when karma, in its quiet way, reminds them that respect isn't demanded, it's earned. After Laura stormed out of my new house that first time, I thought maybe things would settle down. I was wrong. She didn't just sulk or complain quietly. She escalated everything, and it became clear that her ego was more important than family. It started with small jabs during family dinners. She would say things like, "Oh, Mark must be spending all his savings on that big house. I hope it doesn't fall apart." Or, "I guess you finally decided to stop renting, took you long enough." At first, I ignored her. I didn't want to fight. I just wanted to enjoy my house and my success. But ignoring her made her bolder. One weekend, she came over with her husband and kids. I invited them politely, thinking maybe a friendly visit could calm things. But the moment she walked in, she started commenting on everything. "Wow, this living room is okay, I guess. Did you at least get it painted professionally?" I felt my chest tighten. I wanted to snap, but I held back. I smiled and said, "Thanks for noticing. I did it myself. Took a lot of work, but it was worth it." Her eyes narrowed, and I could see the disbelief there. She didn't expect me to respond calmly. She thrived on reactions, on making me feel small. After lunch, as her kids ran outside to play, she cornered me in the kitchen. "Mark, you're lucky I didn't tell everyone how much debt you actually have," she said, smirking. I blinked, stunned. "Debt? What are you talking about?" I asked. She leaned closer, whispering, "Oh, come on. Everyone knows you've always been strapped for cash. Buying a house. Sounds risky. Are you sure you can manage it?" I realized then that she wasn't just mocking me. She was trying to plant doubt in my family's mind, trying to ruin my reputation. I took a deep breath. "Laura, I appreciate your concern, but I manage my finances responsibly. The house is mine, I can afford it, and I'm proud of what I've accomplished. That's all that matters." She scoffed and walked away, shaking her head. I could feel the tension, but for the first time, I also felt a strange calm. I knew she had nothing real to back up her words. The next few weeks were worse. She started dropping accidental comments in front of our parents and cousins. "Oh, Mark bought a house. I wonder how he's paying for it. Must be a loan, right?" She even tried subtle digs at my friends. At one family barbecue, she whispered to my cousin, "I wouldn't trust him to handle a mortgage. He's always been unreliable." It was infuriating, but instead of arguing, I decided to let my actions speak. I spent more time improving the house, fixing small problems, and hosting gatherings. Every weekend, friends came over, laughed, and complimented the place. Slowly, the whispers lost their power. Then came the most shocking moment. My parents invited me to a family reunion, expecting tension because of Laura. I wasn't worried. I had learned not to react to her provocations, but I didn't expect the scene that unfolded. Laura arrived late, wearing a designer outfit and carrying an air of superiority. She immediately started talking to our relatives, loudly hinting that I was struggling financially. "Mark's new house is nice for a starter, I guess. I hope he doesn't bite off more than he can chew," she said. I saw my cousins glance at me, unsure. My parents looked concerned. I felt a flash of anger, but also clarity. I smiled and said, "Thanks, Laura. I've actually managed everything myself, and I'm happy with it. You're welcome to see the house anytime, and I'd love for everyone to visit." The room went quiet. No one argued. No one doubted me. Her smirk faltered, replaced by a kind of stunned silence. I realized in that moment that her attempts to undermine me were failing because the truth was clear. I had worked hard, saved, and achieved something significant. The contrast between her words and reality was too obvious. After the reunion, Laura didn't speak to me for days. She called our parents, trying to twist the story, but even they could see through it. My dad laughed quietly and said, "Mark, you did well. She's just upset she can't put you down anymore." My mom nodded, adding, "It's obvious she's jealous. You should be proud of yourself." That validation from them meant more than anything Laura could say. Then came the final twist. A week later, I received a call from a neighbor. They mentioned that someone had been spreading rumors in the neighborhood, implying my house was unstable or that I couldn't afford it. I immediately knew who it was. Instead of panicking, I invited the neighbor over for coffee and casually showed them around the house, pointing out every improvement, every feature, and explaining how I managed it. By the end, they were amazed. Word spread, and suddenly, Laura's attempt to tarnish my image backfired completely. People admired my work, my dedication, and my perseverance. That week, Laura called me, her voice uncharacteristically soft. "Mark, I guess the house really is yours. You did it," she said. I didn't reply immediately. I let her feel the weight of her own actions. Finally, I said, "Yes, Laura, it's mine. I worked for it. I don't need approval, just respect." She was silent. I could almost hear the disbelief on the other end. The moral of this chapter? Family can be cruel, and sometimes the people closest to you will try to tear you down. But hard work, patience, and quiet determination speak louder than words. Laura thought she could intimidate me, humiliate me, and diminish my success. But in the end, her attempts only highlighted my achievement. Respect isn't demanded, it's earned, and sometimes it comes from standing your ground while others try to push you down. Things didn't calm down after that. If anything, Laura became more sneaky. She realized that blunt insults and open criticism weren't working anymore, so she started manipulating people quietly. It was subtle at first, little comments to my parents, half-truths to our cousins, and even messages to old family friends. At first, I didn't notice, but slowly, the ripple effect became clear. I began hearing from friends that Laura had been spreading rumors about my finances, my character, even claiming I was selfish or arrogant because of the house. At first, I was frustrated. I wanted to confront her, yell, and make her understand how wrong she was. But then I remembered what worked before: patience, quiet confidence, and letting actions speak louder than words. One Saturday, I decided to host a small gathering at my home for close friends and neighbors. Laura somehow found out and showed up uninvited, wearing that smug look she always had. "I hope you didn't spend too much decorating this place," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. I smiled, keeping calm. "Thanks, Laura. I'm glad you came. There's plenty of room for everyone." My friends and neighbors didn't react at first, but then one by one, they started complimenting the house, the design, and the work I had done. Laura's face tightened, and I could see the irritation building. She had expected whispers and doubts, but instead, everyone was impressed. Later, she tried another tactic. She cornered me in the kitchen while I was making coffee. "Mark, you think this changes anything? People will still talk. You can't hide from what they really think about you," she whispered. I looked her straight in the eyes and said calmly, "Laura, I'm not hiding. I'm proud of what I've built. And if people judge me, that's their choice, not mine. I'll continue to live my life openly, and if they come to know the truth, it will only reflect my effort, not your words." She froze for a moment, like my words hit her harder than any insult could. Then came the most unexpected twist. A distant cousin of ours, someone I barely knew, reached out to me. They had overheard Laura spreading lies at a family event and were shocked by her behavior. "I can't believe she would say that," my cousin said. "I thought you were doing amazing things. Don't let her get to you." That was the first time I realized that Laura's actions were isolating her. While she tried to manipulate everyone, the people who truly mattered began to see her for what she was: jealous, insecure, and petty. A week later, my parents invited me to a quiet dinner at their home. Laura wasn't invited, and honestly, I felt a sense of relief. My dad leaned back in his chair and said, "Mark, we've been hearing things about Laura. I want you to know we believe in you. You've done something impressive. Don't let her poison affect you." My mom nodded, holding my hand. "She's always wanted to feel superior, but it doesn't mean she's right. You've earned respect, and it's time you accepted that." Their words hit me with a sense of clarity. I had been so focused on proving myself to Laura that I almost forgot who really mattered. Laura, of course, didn't take this quietly. She showed up at my house unannounced one evening, knocking sharply. When I opened the door, she barged in without waiting for an invitation. "Mark, you don't understand. I just want everyone to see the truth," she said, her voice shaking with barely hidden anger. I sighed, closing the door gently behind me. "Laura, there's nothing more to see. I've worked hard, managed everything myself, and I am proud. If you want to stay part of this family, you need to stop trying to control how people see me." Her face fell, a mixture of shock and frustration. That night, something shifted. Laura began avoiding direct confrontations with me, but instead, she tried subtler tactics. She started making snide comments in private group chats, posting vague, passive-aggressive updates on social media, trying to make me look greedy or arrogant. First, it worked on some distant relatives who weren't close to me, but her efforts were minimal compared to the goodwill I had built with neighbors, friends, and immediate family. People began noticing her bitterness, her constant need to undermine, and the contrast with my calm, steady approach. Then came a turning point. One morning, I received a text from a family friend I trusted. "Mark, Laura has been telling everyone you're struggling financially, but we know the truth. Honestly, it's sad. You've done nothing but work hard and be kind. Don't let her win." That message was like a balm to my frustration. I realized I didn't need to fight her directly. The truth was out, and people could see through her lies themselves. The next weekend, I hosted a small charity event at my house, inviting friends, neighbors, and even some extended family. Laura showed up, but this time, she was quieter. As people mingled, complimented the house, and thanked me for organizing the charity work, her smug demeanor began to fade. It was like watching someone slowly realize they had lost control. I overheard her whisper to her husband, "I didn't expect everyone to like him. He's actually respected." That line stuck with me because it showed exactly what I had been proving all along. Respect and admiration can't be faked. They're earned through action, not gossip. After the event, Laura finally confronted me privately. "Mark, I don't get it. How are people they actually like you?" she stammered. I looked at her calmly and said, "It's simple, Laura. I focus on being genuine, working hard, and helping others. That's what earns respect. Trying to bring someone down never works in the long run." She didn't respond. She left, and for the first time, I felt a real sense of closure. I realized that no matter what she tried, my reputation, my relationships, and my achievements were stronger than her attempts to diminish them. The moral of this chapter is clear. Jealousy and manipulation can cause chaos, but they ultimately fail against honesty, hard work, and kindness. Laura's efforts to control perception and spread lies backfired, isolating her while strengthening my place in the family and community. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't shouting, fighting, or proving someone wrong. It's living well, staying true to yourself, and letting others see your success for what it really is. After months of tension, things escalated in a way I could never have anticipated. Laura had been quiet for a while, but I knew it was only a matter of time before she tried something bigger. And she did. One evening, I received a call from my dad, his voice tense and hurried. "Mark, you need to come home. Laura's done something, and it's serious." My heart sank. I drove immediately, my mind racing with possibilities. When I arrived, I found the house in chaos. Laura had somehow convinced my parents to reconsider the family trust, and she was demanding control over aspects of my inheritance and even trying to influence decisions about my house. My mom looked confused and torn, while my dad seemed frustrated and overwhelmed. Laura stood there, arms crossed, with that same smug look, whispering under her breath, "I'm just trying to protect the family." I couldn't believe it. I felt a mix of anger, disbelief, and sorrow. "Laura, this has gone too far," I shouted, my voice echoing through the living room. "I've done nothing to hurt you, nothing to threaten you, and yet you're trying to take what I've earned and manipulate our family against me." She didn't flinch. Instead, she leaned forward, her eyes cold. "You think you're better than me, Mark. You think your money, your house, your little friends, your success means you're entitled. But you're forgetting where you came from. You're forgetting who this family really is." Her words hit me hard, not because they were true, but because she genuinely believed them. I realized then that this wasn't just jealousy. This was a deep-seated insecurity that had festered for years. Laura had always felt small, overshadowed, overlooked, and she was trying to assert control in the only way she knew how. But I also knew I couldn't back down. I needed to confront her fully, not with anger, but with truth. "Laura, look at yourself for a moment," I said, keeping my voice calm despite the storm inside me. "All this effort to hurt me, to manipulate, to control, what has it gotten you? Fear, bitterness, isolation. You've pushed people away while I've built a home, earned respect, and strengthened relationships. You can keep fighting me, but the world sees your actions clearly. You're hurting yourself more than anyone else." The room went silent. My mom wiped a tear, my dad exhaled deeply, and Laura's smug expression faltered for the first time in years. But then she tried another tactic. She started crying, loud, dramatic, calling me cruel, selfish, and accusing me of turning the family against her. "Everyone hates me because of you. You've ruined everything," she screamed. I realized then that confrontation alone wouldn't work. She needed to see consequences, not just hear words. The very next day, I made a decision. I invited the extended family over without telling Laura. I wanted everyone to witness the truth themselves. When she found out, she was furious, but I calmly said, "Laura, you can't manipulate people if they see everything firsthand." She stormed in any way, expecting to make a dramatic scene. But what happened next shocked her. I started walking people through the house, showing the improvements I had made, the charity donations I had organized, the care I had taken to make my family proud. I spoke honestly, openly, and with warmth. Neighbors and relatives listened, asked questions, and expressed admiration. Laura tried to interrupt, tried to whisper lies, but no one paid attention. People had already seen the truth. They could feel my sincerity and effort, and Laura's bitterness became painfully obvious. At one point, she lost her composure completely. "You think everyone will just forgive you?" she yelled. "You think you can erase all the mistakes, all the arrogance, all that?" I cut her off calmly. "Laura, I don't need forgiveness because I've done nothing wrong. I've worked hard, stayed honest, and treated people with respect. You can scream, manipulate, or cry, but that won't change the facts. The facts are my actions, not your words." The atmosphere shifted. Extended family members started asking her questions, probing gently but firmly about her claims. She stumbled over her words, repeated herself, and eventually fell silent. My parents, who had been torn and confused, finally looked at me with pride and relief. "Mark, you've handled this better than we ever could have imagined," my dad whispered. "She can't lie her way through this." Then came the most satisfying moment. My cousin, the same one who had once defended me quietly, stood up and said loudly, "Laura, it's time to be honest. We've seen the effort, the care, the respect Mark has earned. Your actions have only hurt yourself, not him." Others nodded, murmuring agreement. Laura's face drained of color. For the first time, I saw fear and humiliation in her eyes. She tried to retreat, but the damage was done. After everyone left, my parents hugged me tightly. "You've done the right thing. You've stood up, and you've let truth and integrity win," my mom said softly. I felt exhausted, but triumphant. For months, I had been patient, measured, and deliberate. And now, finally, the world around me reflected that effort. Laura's attempts to control, manipulate, and undermine had collapsed under the weight of honesty and action. The moral of this chapter is profound. When someone acts out of jealousy and insecurity, confrontation alone may not suffice. True victory comes from living authentically, letting your actions speak, and allowing the world to witness your integrity. In the end, truth prevails over manipulation, patience triumphs over rash anger, and character outweighs envy. Laura's schemes failed not because I fought her tooth and nail, but because I remained genuine, resilient, and steadfast in my values. The weeks following the confrontation were tense, but the storm had passed. Laura stayed mostly in her room, sulking and occasionally muttering under her breath. I could hear her through the walls, pacing, complaining, making small threats. But nothing she did could undo what had already happened. I had built a fortress of honesty, proof, and support around myself, and no amount of bitterness could break it. I kept living my life, working on my house, helping my parents, and strengthening relationships with the rest of the family. Every day, I reminded myself that patience and integrity were my true weapons. Then, one evening, the turning point came unexpectedly. My dad called me into the study. His face was serious, but there was a glimmer of relief in his eyes. "I think it's time to talk to Laura properly. She's been isolated, angry, and, well, she needs to understand what she's done." I nodded, feeling a mix of dread and resolve. I didn't want to humiliate her further, but I also knew that a final confrontation, this time with clarity and calm, was necessary for closure. I found Laura sitting at the kitchen table, arms crossed, staring at nothing. I took a deep breath. "Laura," I began gently, "we need to talk. Not to argue, not to fight, but to be honest." She looked up, eyes wary, ready to snap. "Honest," she repeated, her voice trembling. "Fine. Go ahead. Tell me how I've failed you again." I shook my head. "No, Laura, I'm not here to blame you. I'm here to show you the truth of your choices and the consequences that come with them. We can't change the past, but we can understand it and move forward." Her eyes narrowed. "Move forward? You mean you get everything and I get nothing?" I sighed. "No. I mean we both have to live with what we've done. I've done my best to act with integrity, to earn respect, and to care for our family. You chose anger, manipulation, and control. That path isolates you, Laura. You need to see it for yourself." For the first time, I saw a flicker of something else, regret. Her eyes softened, though just slightly. I just wanted to matter," she whispered. "I wanted to be seen, to matter in this family, in your life." My heart ached because I understood that pain. "You do matter, Laura," I said carefully. "But the way you try to prove it only pushed people away. Being seen doesn't come from fighting or manipulating. It comes from actions, kindness, respect, and honesty. That's what truly makes you matter." She looked at me silently for several moments, and I held her gaze without flinching. Then she finally spoke, her voice breaking. I don't know if I can fix this." I nodded. "You can't fix everything, Laura, but you can start choosing differently. You can apologize, be honest, and rebuild trust. That's your choice. No one else can do it for you." The next few days were subtle, but significant. Laura began making small gestures, helping around the house, apologizing quietly to relatives she had offended, and even complimenting my efforts on the new home. It wasn't immediate, and it wasn't perfect, but I could see her slowly coming back into the family fold. She was learning, painfully and humbly, that manipulation and envy only lead to loneliness, while honesty and care lead to connection and respect. Then came the moment of public acknowledgement. At a small family gathering, my mom gently said, "Laura, I think it's time to recognize what Mark has built. Not just the house, but the life, the relationships, and the example he sets. Can you do that?" Laura hesitated, tears brimming, but nodded. I see it now. Mark, I was wrong. I let jealousy and pride blind me. I'm sorry." A hush fell over the room, and then one by one, relatives expressed their support, validating both her apology and my efforts. It felt surreal. After months of drama, tension, and fear, there was finally a sense of peace. The family had witnessed growth, accountability, and reconciliation. Laura had faced the consequences of her actions, but she had also found a path toward redemption. And I had learned a valuable lesson about patience, honesty, and the power of steadfast integrity. In the weeks that followed, life settled into a healthier rhythm. Laura and I didn't instantly become best friends, but the resentment had lifted, replaced by cautious understanding. My parents were proud, the extended family had respect for both of us, and I felt a weight lifted from my shoulders. The house, the home I had built, became a symbol, not of wealth or success, but of fairness, hard work, and the triumph of character over envy. The moral of this story is clear. In family conflicts, true victory doesn't come from shouting louder, scheming harder, or holding grudges. Victory comes from living with integrity, facing challenges calmly, and allowing truth and action to shine. Those who manipulate and envy will eventually face the consequences of their choices. And those who act with honesty, care, and patience will see justice, respect, and peace prevail. Laura's jealousy taught her a painful lesson, and my steadfastness proved that character always outweighs bitterness. In the end, fairness, accountability, and compassion restored balance to our family. And that is a victory no money, inheritance, or argument could ever surpass.